One quite common use for a macro is for it to be used for formatting. Because it can remember lots of steps, you can record all the formatting steps and then effectively play them back with a keyboard shortcut, for example. So I'm going to take a new file and just going to place a number in a cell so that I can see what happens to that number. I can format a cell without any contents, but I can't always see what's going to happen. So it's nicer to have some contents to format. And the steps involved are, firstly, I need to record a new macro. So I'm going to call this command red highlight. And we'll give it a keyboard shortcut of Control-Shift-R. I want to store that in my personal macro workbook because I want to be able to use this macro over and over again for formatting purposes. Okay, I make sure relative referencing is on, and it is. And then I'm on the cell I want to format, and I simply go through the format process. So I'd quite like the background to be red, the font to be white, the number format to be currency, and let's put some borders on, but only in the top and the bottom. So again, I want them to be reddish, but I won't see the red with the red background. So let's go for grey, and we'll have a top border and a bottom border. Okay, so that's formatted that cell how I want it to look. I can then stop recording. Now just to test that that works, we go over to another cell on our sheet and do Control-Shift-R. And we can see that it goes red and it has the grey border, but has it assigned the correct formatting? Well, let's place a number in and see. Yes, it has. It's given it currency format. Now, if I highlight a number of cells and run my macro, Control-Shift-R, you see that it formats all the cells in that same design, which is red background, white text, currency format, proving that happens, and a top and a bottom grey border. So although I actually recorded it against a single cell, because of the relative referencing, it just does it to the highlighted cells. Let's create another one, a similar one, a green one. So we'll select a cell, and again I'm going to place a number in there so I can see what happens. And we go to Developer, Record Macro. This one's going to be CMD green. It's going to go in the personal macro workbook, and I'm going to save it with Control, Shift and G. Okay, the relative referencing is still on. So all I need to do is format. Let's have a green background, white text, and currency again. And then we can stop. So let's pick a cell, Control-Shift-G, and it goes formatted green. And if I pick a cell with the number in, Control-Shift-G, formats that cell as green. Now, because I've stored this in my personal macro workbook, I could now open another file. And we have one, the sales.xlsx in your working folder. And if I were to select the north area as such and do Control-Shift-R, formats that in the red style, which is the grey border at the top and bottom, white font, red background. And then for the south, I could do Control-Shift-G, and it gets green formatted. And then I could do the east, Control-Shift-R, and I could do the west, Control-Shift-G. And what about if I multiple selected but non-consecutive areas? For example, for the pairs, I could say, well, let's have the north, then control click and have the east, and then control click and have the total, and then run Control-Shift-R. See how it changes just the highlighted area. Even though they're not consecutive, it's still running that same code, so the same steps against the selected cells, whatever those selected cells happen to be. And I could do the same for the south and the west. Balance up that little table. So you highlight one area, hold down the control key, highlight the second area, and then run your keyboard shortcut, Control-Shift-G for green. So you can see there that the formatting macros really can be extremely useful, saving you a lot of steps, a lot of work, because you simply select a cell, format it how you want it to look, making sure you have relative referencing on, and then you can highlight any number of cells and re-trigger that macro, and it will redo all the formatting as you've saved it against the selected cells.